I'm ready. Let's go.
Let's do it.
All right, so it's been a while.
Yes. It's been a couple of weeks.
I think it's been like 2 weeks. I
Yeah.
can't remember. But yeah, we first things first, we had our booster shots um last Monday, and we woke up on was it Monday? Yeah,
Yes.
Monday afternoon, and I myself had the worst reaction possible. So I obviously couldn't do a podcast on Tuesday. Myrna didn't have the worst side effects.
No, I was just like really exhausted, but Ryan had like the chills, fever, all of that
Everything.
stuff. But
Yeah.
it only lasted like 24 hours. He's just,
It was like 18 hours, but I was awake for all 18 hours.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
It sucked. And then,
And then we had a death in my family that was a very, very significant person in our family that, it just didn't really feel I wasn't really up for it.
and that was the week before, right?
That was the week before, but her funeral was actually on the day that our podcast usually airs, which is a
That
Tuesday.
Tuesday. Okay.
So yeah, we just weren't really
The
feeling
mindset.
it mentally or physically. So,
Yeah.
but we're
Yeah.
back.
Yeah, but yeah, so that's why it's been a couple of weeks, but we're thinking about it and we're looking at stuff. We're like, this might be the last one.
Yeah, guys, we got some bad news.
It's not bad news.
Maybe good news for some people, but this is our last episode. So we have a lot to cover. Update: my dad finally knows about the podcast, and maybe from what I'm hearing, he has some things to say. But when we told him, he was actually very like he seemed a little proud, like he's like, no, I'm happy, you're doing this and all that stuff. And he's already listened to all of the episodes. So yeah, I mean, maybe we'll have him on. I was actually thinking of having one time of us like going live, answering the questions that you guys have been sending us in that I haven't answered yet, because a lot of the questions that we've been getting are questions about like the now, like how to deal with like certain things that now that we're married and all that stuff. So that's why it just didn't really make any sense to answer those questions while we're like still in our timeline of things. So Ryan and I were thinking about doing a live and answering those questions live. So we'll probably try to figure out what time works best for everybody. Because since we are in Illinois, we are an hour behind. So that's partially why the reason these podcasts are not uploaded at 12 o'clock Michigan time.
Yeah, I mean, it might be done next week, or we could wait till we're back in Michigan so we can, be able to be around all the people that we talk about so much,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, that's actually a good idea.
So, yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, let's get started because we do have a lot to talk about. So today's episode is called Post Engagement / Wedding Day, and then the new norm.
Something like that.
Is that what? That's a pretty long title, babe.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think that's gonna fit.
It's whatever.
It's whatever. But so do you want to start us off with the new norm with my family?
Yeah, so just to recap, because it's been so long, we're, I've met the whole family at this point. Me and Marilyn are engaged. It is what it is, and I think from Myrna's parents' standpoint, I'm not going anywhere. So let's just start to get to know this person, enjoy this person, and this is the new norm that we're facing and kind of have to get in line with. So, at this point, we kind of made it a thing just to try to get over to her mom's house every so often. Because granted, I'm still living at my mom's house, and Marina's still living at home. So we're still trying to figure out, that whole when to go over there and all of that. I
Like
don't
to
think we,
continue building the relationship and stuff.
yeah, yeah. I don't think we started going over there on the Sundays until later on, right?
Yeah, I think it was after we got married, but
Okay.
I honestly that's a little foggy, but I just remember after my mom meeting him, it was like kind of smooth sailing from there. Like it was again like Ryan was saying, they just kind of both accepted it and ex- not accepted. I use that term loosely. Like they have realized that he's not going anywhere like Ryan said, and that they, as we talked about in the previous episode, they're coming to terms. My dad is talking to cousins who are like, we saw him. What do you, what do you think about this? And what do you, are you really accepting this guy? And now my dad is going, from what I can imagine, going from, I don't know what she's doing. She's not listening to us to, he's a really good guy. He's very respectful. He's very this, he's that, he's educated, like just the tone and the way he's describing Ryan is completely different because by this time he's seen Ryan, 3-4 times, which is not a lot. Like if we're talking about like Americans, you from the friends that I had, they had their families meet their boyfriends like within a month or so. My family didn't meet Ryan until 2 years in, and my mom didn't meet him until we were engaged. So it's like, looking back at that, it's kind of crazy to see or to realize that. But it just, I just remember after my mom meeting him, it was like smooth sailing because a lot of people that were on my side but loved my mom flat out said, if your mom isn't coming to the wedding, or if she doesn't come around, like I have to be on her side and not show up at your wedding.
Yeah, that's a big thing. I think for those out there who get the opposite reaction from their parents of not accepting it at all, even after you guys get engaged, or let's say you guys have a kids and they're still not accepting it, you're gonna lose a lot of people that were your childhood extended family because they were your parents' friends or parents' best
Yeah.
friends, but they, out of association, can't accept it because your parents don't accept it. You're gonna lose those people most likely as well, and those relationships I think are kind of the toughest to lose because you're gonna be losing people that you've had for 10, 12 years of your life that have been around, been with you for a lot of different things, but that's just kind of the reality.
Yeah, it was hard hearing that from some people, like that they would choose my mom over me, because that's what it felt like. I'll be honest. Like they're choosing my mom over me, but really my mom was just really, she's very difficult. When her mind is made up, her mind is made up. And I'm in that way some ways. I mean, in some areas. Right, Ryan? Or
Mm-hmm.
wrong? Am I wrong?
Nope.
You could say that I'm a little bit less
No.
Ryan. Okay. Anyway,
Yeah.
so, like it's just when her mind is made up, her mind is made up. It's very hard to deter her. So I had to kind of be the bigger person. A lot, if you guys haven't already noticed from these episodes, there's a lot of times where I had to be the bigger person. There were a lot of times where I felt like I was the more rational one, between my parents, like, because I couldn't lose my shit, for a lack of a better term. Like, if I lost my shit, then I look like I'm the crazy one, or I'm, like fighting my parents and rebelling and all of this stuff, versus like me just being rational, calm, all of this stuff. Like, don't get me wrong, there were obviously times where I was just like, this is bullshit, this is that, like I remember my mom saying some things that about like my future kids, and just like, I'm like, my kids are going to be the most beautiful, most educated, most wonderful kids ever, and you're going to regret saying, all this stuff that you're saying or whatever. I mean, like, I'm not going to go into detail what she said, but it just like, again, she was, it's just ignorance. It's pure ignorance, like, and I'm not saying that to like put down my mom. It's just when they don't know what they don't know, or when they're not exposed to mixed, like mixing, children, or mixing families, or blending families, like when it's like, no, you marry a Chaldean, you're raised Chaldean, you have, like you're gonna raise Chaldean babies, like it's very uncommon in for Chaldeans to mix, and that's just unfortunately the reality. So that's why, like, I couldn't, as much as I wanted to get angry, I had to always remind myself, we grew up in a different time. I'm growing up in a completely different country than they grew up in. So I had to constantly remind myself of that, because if I didn't, then I would just act like them and just be angry all the time. And that's not how I wanted to go out. It's not how I wanted to handle the situation. So anyway,
Transition.
moving on. So, planning our engagement, like I said, it was smooth sailing after that. My mom like wanted to be a part of the planning process. I mean, it was like, again, complete night and day. My mom would like constantly ask me, where are you doing your venue? Where are you doing this? Where are you doing that? Like,
And a little bit of foreshadowing here. At this point, it's 2019.
yes.
Just a little bit of foreshadowing. It's
So,
2019.
February of 2019, we're planning our wedding. Our wedding date is April 25th, 2020. Okay. And it's, we are excited, so we got our venue. We were supposed to, we were going to have our wedding at the Regency Manor, and we were going to get married at Mother of God Church. So like, we were getting all of this stuff ready, and we go to Mother of God. And obviously, like, for my Chaldeans out there, I was worried about what the priest, was going to say. Like, I legit was like ready for him to be like, yeah, we're not marrying you, like, because I just didn't know what to expect,
But the priest, the Mother of God, for people who don't know about that church, he's a younger guy. So he's and from the times that we went to church, and we can talk about that here too.
Mm-hmm.
Going to Mother of God church. He's younger. His I think his ideals are a little bit. I mean,
He's more inclusive.
He's more inclusive.
Let's just put it that
a little
way.
bit more. He's younger, so he has the ability to not only identify with older Chaldeans, but the younger generation as well. So that's what he blended his
ideologies
in his sermons well, I think, with the population that would come to the church, which was probably more heavily older, 30, 40, 50s and higher Chaldeans and other Middle Eastern people as well, but also with the younger crowd who use Snapchat and use Instagram and are on their phone all day and night. So I wasn't too worried about a rejection, but I guess Myrna was.
So yeah, because another thing that was the issue is that Ryan's not baptized. So early on in our relationship, well, no, not early on, but like when we were really serious about like getting engaged and stuff, I told him, I was like, you're probably gonna have to be baptized Catholic. Is that okay with you? And he's like, yeah, that's not a big deal to me. But I like explained to him, I was like, it's not just a matter of being baptized Catholic. Like you're being baptized Catholic, meaning you're gonna raise your kids to be Catholic. Like it's not just like, oh, I'm just gonna throw water on me and that's it. So like I was trying to explain to him the severity, like the seriousness, about this. Like it's not just, I'm just gonna do this and be done. So, but he still was like, yeah, I don't, that's fine. I'll be baptized Catholic, like, as long as you guys aren't like teaching, to like hurt people or anything like that. Like, yeah, why not? So I called the priest, to get set up with Mother of God and, get married there and all that stuff. And I flat out told him, I was like, listen, he's African American. He's not baptized, but he's willing to be baptized. And the priest was just like, whoa, like, that's okay. He doesn't have to be baptized to marry you. And I was like, wait, what? Because this is like, for my Chaldeans out there, this is new. You essentially have to be baptized. You have to both be Catholic or like an equivalent to like under the Christian faith, to be married in a Catholic church. And this priest was just flat out like, no, like I want him to come to me and say, I want to be Catholic. I don't want to force him, to be Catholic. And I was like, really? Because my brother had a different experience. My sister-in-law, she wanted to be baptized Catholic. Like she was all up for it. But the priest also told her, like their priest told them that she has to be baptized Catholic. So I just thought that was so like cool, like it's like, that's great. So Ryan is still not baptized, but we were able to get married and all that stuff. But anyway, so then comes the interview with the priest. And, he just kind of flat out like was asking, the general common questions that I would assume asks every couple who's hoping to get married, like you're not in this by force, like you're, like those common questions for anyone who has been married and through the Catholic Church. And then one question that he came about was like, Chaldeans are getting more divorced now than ever. And it's like research has shown something along the lines like research has shown that it's, interracial marriages like have a, like, how did he word it?
Just a higher chance of the same result essentially.
Yes. So he's like, how are you guys going to be any different? And I was like, well, I think I just gave like a general answer, like, we communicate. We know that communication and trust are like very, very important. We also like want to intertwine our cultures. Like we don't want to be separate. Like, oh, you're like this and I'm like this, and just like put each other's cultures down. And then he asked like, how long have you guys been dating? And I was like, 4 years. And he's like, oh, like I guess he assumed that we were only dating for like a year or so. I was like, no, we've been in the game for 4 years. So, I honestly forgot everything else that he said after that. But then he told us what we have to do. We had to do marriage classes and we had to do natural family planning classes. So the marriage class was 4 weeks, once a week. And I think it was like 3 hours long.
Yeah.
And then the natural family planning class was 2 classes, I think an hour long.
Something like that.
So the marriage classes. Ryan, you want to talk about your first day at marriage class?
Well, yeah. So they give you the option. You just have to do it before you get married, obviously. So Myrna being Myrna, let's just get it done right away as soon as possible. So
yeah, we got it done a year early. But they recommend that too, because they're like, why would you do these marriage classes like a month before your marriage and realize that you guys have a lot to work on, and then, or it causes, like concern. Because you two talk about a lot of serious stuff in marriage class. And I was very proud of ourselves because most of the stuff that they talked about in marriage class, we already discussed, like prior to getting engaged. So that kind of made me feel more secure because of, my family background and just like not really having a good role model of a marriage and stuff.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was a good experience overall. I would definitely say to do it because it's not just you in there. It's, what is it? I think the marriage class was about 20 other couples. I
think it was like
30 maybe.
I think it was like about like 15 to 20 couples.
Because we filled up like a mess hall or like the eating area where we were. So, but it was great. They gave you a book. You got to fill out stuff. It's just like going to
college.
Like, it's like a college class essentially. But I mean, it was nice because you have real people who are actually married who live in the community. For me, it was a little bit different because everybody there is Chaldean.
Everybody.
Everybody.
No, there was like maybe two people that were white,
Yeah,
two or three that were
yeah.
white, but
But it
he
was
was the only black guy.
yeah. So it was a little different, obviously, and so. But again, I'm used to it at this point. I probably wasn't expecting anything less about it. I'm always surprised if I see another brother
Yeah.
in a room for stuff like that. So, but yeah. So I do recommend it if you have to do it, don't dread it. The only thing that sucked about it was the length because you are sitting there having to listen to people talk, and that's the only thing. But the experience of it was, I would, if I had to do it again, then I would do it again.
Yeah, it was in the evening, so like, if you've already gone to college that day or
Yeah,
like if you had work or something. So it's a very long day.
yeah.
But talk about the first day.
The first day.
Do you remember anybody staring at you? Do you remember anything about the first
So
day?
there's always stairs.
Can I talk about what I remember?
Yeah, what do you remember?
Okay, so you have to sign in, right? So each time that you go to class, you sign in with one of the presenters or like one of the people taking care of like the logistics of the class. So we walk in, me and Ryan, on our first day, and the guy behind the desk, is signing us in, and we're like, "Hi, we're here for the marriage class," and he's like, "You're here for the marriage class?" And I was like, "Yeah, we are." And he's like, "Oh, okay." And then he's like, "What's your guys' names?" And then just like proceeded to go on,
I
as
don't remember
scheduled.
that.
You don't remember that? I thought it
Uh,
was hilarious. He was like just so taken aback, like, "Oh, you're here? Oh, okay." Like, and then I remember, a lot of stairs, a lot of stairs. But there was this one really nice couple, and I can't remember their names. I'm so mad. But
which couple?
it was the couple that, like, I think we were looking for seats, and they, like, said, "Oh, you guys can sit here. Like, there's a seat right here." Like, I remember them just being so nice. And every single time we were there, they would, like, always say hi to us. Like, they really, like, tried to. It was a couple of them. The couple of couples. They really like were inclusive and like just tried to talk to us and not make us feel like we were that, like the outliers of the group.
Yeah.
So, and I think what's funny is that no, one of them was fully Chaldean, the other was marrying a white guy. So, but anyway, I was more surprised. I honestly thought that, I don't know if it's because like we were in a church essentially, or like, like outside of the church, that people were like acting really nice. But I honestly was surprised. I thought I was going to get more, like just, I thought I was going to have like people flat out like coming up to me and saying like, you're ruining your life, or like, I don't know, like Chaldeans just, I don't know, like being judgmental or something, but they were like all really nice besides, the stares and stuff. Like you did get like some people who were just staring constantly or whatever, just wondering what I'm doing, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was still like a very positive experience. So, um,
So this was summer
this is summer.
of
Yeah, like
2019.
I think we got done with our classes in July, and then August we did the natural family planning
Mm-hmm.
class, which again, same thing. We got the stairs or whatever, but we were at that point we were like kind of used to it because we've already done like 4 classes at that point at the church. And then September we did our engagement photos. So I can post more engagement photos in this post. We did it with the wonderful, wonderful Steve of Studio 41 Photography. We had a freaking blast with Steve. He's awesome. He's awesome. He's worth every freaking penny, and I feel bad because we didn't get a chance to use him for our wedding day. But, anyway, we got our photos done in downtown Detroit at the, I forgot what it was called. The parking
Oh,
lot.
it was, I forget what the parking lot, but it's an old parking garage where it's
I gotta look that up.
it's
It's a movie theater, or
some,
not a theater.
I think so. But it's kind of like where everybody goes to get their picture taken in the city.
No, not the Z parking lot. I'm not talking about the Z parking lot.
That's not where everybody goes to get their picture taken in the city, Habibi. They go to this garage that was
Oh.
just gutted. It's
Oh.
old, and you gotta make an appointment and get in there and do all that. But yeah, it was cool. It was hot because it was again in August. So
It
we're
was extremely hot.
so we're literally just drenched in sweat the whole time. But it was a good experience overall. Yeah. We took a lot of photos.
Oh, Detroit, Michigan Theater. I think that's what
Is
it's
that
called.
what it's called?
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, so we did that for a couple hours. After that, we went to what's the alleyway called?
The belt.
The Belt in the city of Detroit as well. So we went there after, got some nice photos, and then called it a day. And then that same day we just so happened to be able to get tickets to go to a J Balvin concert. And if you don't know who J Balvin is, he's a reggaeton artist, probably one of the biggest artists in that genre of music. Um,
Next to Bad Bunny. For all
so
my
yeah, so
reggaeton people who know.
that was a fun concert, and
It was
again,
so much
it's
fun.
it's literally all in Spanish. I think he maybe said one sentence in English. The rest of the show was in Spanish, but he did like how many
He
songs?
did like 30 songs,
Yeah,
dude. It was awesome.
yeah, it was a dope because it was at the Fox Theater, so it was a dope environment.
Yeah, but then, like he's been in if there's any people out there that are listening that are Latina or Latino, uh he's been more controversial lately, so he
Yeah,
used to be my favorite reggaeton artist, but he's been very, very controversial, so it's kind of hard to like it's kind
yeah.
of hard to like love him right now. But
But definitely, if you are interested, go listen to like a Bad Bunny or just get into like that genre. There's a lot of good artists,
yeah,
a
for
lot of good
sure.
music. But yeah,
All right, moving on. So yeah, we had that day was a very long, fun-filled
yeah,
day,
fun
from
day.
doing our engagement photo to going to a concert and just being in Detroit like literally all day. We just had a freaking blast. It was awesome. Um,
And then I guess so. Fast forward from there, nothing
Nothing
big
really.
happened all fall.
Yeah, cuz we that was in September, as I said.
No,
And then
yeah,
we were planning, well, not we, our lovely maid of honor and best man were planning our bachelorette party, cuz listen, I know, like, I know it's like some people like separate bachelorette parties and stuff like that, but me and Ryan, I it's not that we wanted to do the same bachelorette party like together. It's just that our best man and maid of honor, Rita and Christian, like, they were like, let's, you guys want to go to Miami? Like, let's go to Miami. So it's like they planned it so that we have one night separate and one night together. But then I think even in the separate night we ended up together. And we just, man, we had a blast. And so that was in
February.
February.
Yeah, it was.
I think it was literally the week after the Super Bowl, so it was
Hmm.
like February 8th or 7th, something like that. And my goodness, like,
That was fun.
we if we had known what we had known in the coming months, like, so this is again February of 2020, like, I mean, we definitely had the time of our lives. Like, we celebrated like there was no tomorrow. But man, if we had known the coming months, like all the tragedy that was about to happen and just all of that stuff, I think we would have partied a little bit more hard. Like,
Yeah.
so
So yeah. So I mean, the funny thing is, we got back from that trip, and I think two of our friends got sick.
no. So one of our friends was like already sick before Miami. Two of them I think were sick. No, one of them was sick before Miami, and then coming back, the other one was sick, I believe.
Yeah, it was like flu-like symptoms, but I think
Yeah,
looking back at it, they had COVID
they
built up.
probably had COVID, honestly.
I don't know if they got the if they ever got like the antibody
Antibody.
test, but
Yeah.
if they it sounded like they had COVID, like the bad version.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't even only that. Our best man Christian, there was a tragic accident with his father, and his father ended up passing away like um it was like 2 week like a good like maybe 10 days,
Before,
10-13 days before what our wedding would have been on April 25th.
yeah,
And it was
it's just a weird time.
just a very, very hard time. We what's crazy is that he and Rita, like, we're both like, no, we're gonna be there, we're gonna be a part of your wedding, we're gonna this, we're gonna I mean, they were
Yeah,
still trying to do their duties as maid of honor and best man, and we just, we remember looking back at that time, like, just thinking how blessed, we are to have people like that in our lives. And you know um but going so it's March.
going back, so it's March. It's been like a couple of weeks since we got back from Miami. We're both um we're both working, and it's we start to hear about COVID and how it's spreading in um
We're being told that we have to stay home for 2 weeks.
no, don't go
Oh,
don't
okay.
go farther than what I'm trying to do.
Okay. I don't know
So,
what you're trying to say.
it's spreading, and I'm working at a gym at the time for it's a corporate fitness facility out in Dearborn
For Ford
for
employees.
Ford employees, and like the truck employees over there who make the parts and the side panels and all that for the F-150. It's a F-150 plant out in Dearborn. And it's March, I think the week of like March 15th. So whatever that date was, we're hearing about it, we're watching it spread, and I think the first couple of cases started popping up in Michigan in March. And, we were thinking to ourselves like, maybe we'll have to start wearing masks in stores, and we're thinking, nothing's going to change. And then I think it was that Friday before, our boss is like, "Oh, we're shutting down for about 2 weeks until this thing blows over." And I was like, "Okay, well, shoot, I'll see y'all later." So we go home 2 weeks, and then, um, yeah, just like everybody else, we're just life completely changes because then, and for me, my company I was working for wasn't the biggest. So like many others, they had to apply for the what's it called? The PPE loans?
Uh,
Yeah, right?
the PPP loan.
PPP
Yeah,
loans.
PPE is the the equipment that
Yeah.
the hospital needed.
So obviously working at a gym, they were one of the first businesses to kind of feel the full blunt force impact because of how much people are close to each other. You're sweating, you're breathing, you're touching the same things as each other. And the demographic where I was, most of the population of the members were all older people. So, um, I think in that job I've left from, but they have not been open for 2 years because of this, and they're using our gym right now, I think, as one of the main testing centers for workers to go back to the plants to work, and workers who want to work on site at the Ford campus there to go and get tested or even get vaccines, I think, now as well to go back to work. So,
So let me just again reiterate: if Ryan was still relying on that job, he's been out of that job since the middle of March 2020, and it is now almost 3 years.
no, it's
Or sorry,
almost 2
2
years.
years. 2 years. Um, so if he was relying on that job,
Yeah.
I mean, like it was horrible. And then, from my perspective, so I'm at Easter Seals in Southfield, as a therapist, and they tell us, yeah, we're going to be working from home. Now, telehealth was a thing, but it definitely wasn't a thing like how it is now. And for those who don't know what telehealth is by now, it's just, having appointments via video calls. So whether it was Zoom, Microsoft Teams, Duo, I mean, there's so many platforms now, but I remember that month, I was a therapist, I was a case manager, I was a IT person, because it's just like all of my clients, I had to teach them how to get on this platform, get them set up, all of that stuff. I mean, we were doing therapy over the phone, which was never done before, never approved, obviously. So like, it's the middle of March, and I'm looking at our wedding date like, oh, this will be over by
Yeah.
April 25th.
Yeah.
Like, it's March 16th. Like, it'll definitely be over by
Yeah.
April 25th, I mean. And April 8th, I think. I remember it was like the beginning of April. Maybe it was like April 3rd or something like that. Like, or end of March, like very, very close. Ryan is on his phone. It's the beginning of it's morning. I'm getting ready for work, which is working from home.
And by this point, I think all of us who are listening to this were tuning in every week or every couple of weeks to see what the governor was
Every
going to
day,
say.
it felt like every day,
Because she
honestly.
would be holding those 30-minute sessions of this is where we are,
Conference.
this is
Yeah.
what we're going to be doing. So at this point, at this day, we're thinking about, because 2 weeks from that day is just about when we're going to get married. So usually, whatever she said, it was going to get worse. Like like the restrictions and things of that nature, because we're fully in it at this point.
Yes. And so for those who like, when I say I'm getting ready for my day, like at this point, it's so if it's end of March, so me and Ryan like found an apartment, and we're planning on like moving in, together. So, which for those who don't know, obviously is like a big issue, um in my culture, because it's like you don't move in until you're married. So I'm getting married in like a month, and I'm like slowly putting my stuff in this new apartment, and I've been told that I have to work from home, and I'm paying, like me and Ryan are paying rent for an apartment. And at the time, I just felt like it was completely ridiculous for me to be paying rent somewhere that I'm not even living in. And it was very like, like I couldn't imagine doing telehealth from my mom's house, because even though it was like quiet and stuff, it's just like, for those who know, okay, when you're getting married, all right, you want to start your life, all right, you want to have your own place, especially since we never, as girls, as women, we're never able to venture out on our own, have our own place, and just have our own space in general, right? So I was just like ready for that to happen. And I just remember like when I was told by my job, you're going to be working from home from now, I had to like tell my mom and dad, like, you guys, I have a place to stay that I pay bills for. I'm not about to not stay there, especially now that it's like I have to work from home.
Yeah, that was an issue that we faced with both of them, because
Yeah.
it was more of a thing where it's like, they're still kind of, I'm not gonna say stuck, but just ingrained in, oh well, when we move in with someone, you're crossing that threshold, that you're kind of crossing that threshold too early, or you're kind of like jinxing your marriage of being with someone too
Yeah.
early.
Yeah. My mom was like worried that like, since you're not married yet, what if something happens or blah blah blah. Like,
AKA,
like
like, what if you get pregnant?
yeah.
Like that's the main thing they kept
Okay,
saying.
yes. they won't say that
Yeah.
out loud, but I'm sure that that's what they were thinking.
And
Okay.
so we're sitting there like, bro, like,
So let's just
no.
rip the Band-Aid off because that's what we're inching around for those of us listening and you're wondering like what are they talking about? Like what that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So they just immediately assumed we were just going to go wild and crazy.
Yeah. It's like,
You
bro,
know,
like,
just like
but yeah, so I mean, for me, working from home was like I was still getting paid because obviously from a gym standpoint, there's not much I can do
yeah.
working from home. Like it is what it is. For Marina, I think she's gonna say this too, but I can't imagine her being in a having to work all day, dealing with people, dealing with COVID, and then her getting off of work and going and kind of being in that same mindset she was in for most of 2019, 2018. Granted, it's gotten a little bit better, but her and her mom's relationship still was kind of finding this new way to deal with everything. So having to deal with work all day and then get off and be at home all day, every day would have been a big difference.
Yeah. So, we had that conversation. Obviously, they weren't happy with it, but COVID just kind of was like an exception. I mean, I kept thinking about the couples. I'm like, the couples who like literally bought houses together,
Yeah.
and that were like literally getting a house ready or something like that. And it's just like, I thought that was kind of, crazy. Like they're literally getting ready to get set to get married. Like let's say in March, I'm talking about the March couples or the early April couples, like we were at the end of April.
Yeah.
So for those couples, like your wedding is like tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Like let's say your wedding was supposed to be like, March 15th or 16th or whatever, March 20th, whatever that Friday, Saturday, Sunday is, and you have a house together and you're literally like you packed up all your things and now you have to reschedule your wedding day and your parents are like, oh, you have to come back home. Like,
Yeah.
no, the fuck I'm not.
Yeah.
So, that's just kind of where I was at in my mindset. And so anyway, back to what I was talking about. So I'm getting ready for work, like to work from home, like just, putting my makeup on. Ryan's on. Where did you find it? What were you on?
No, I think you're thinking about it out of order
Oh,
because it was later in the day. I think you
was?
were either I think a client didn't like no showed or
No, Ryan.
missed it.
I know. I promise you. I swear. I remember it because it was in the beginning of the day. Because you told me, "Go ahead, work. Don't worry about it. I'll take care of everything." You took care of everything while I was working.
This is different days. So
Oh, okay. Never mind.
we found we found out with everybody else that she was going to shut down everything and reduce the number for all events or not having any events indoors at all. Mid March, so I think it was right around your birthday,
Mm-hmm.
and um, because we're sitting on the couch watching this, kind of expecting it but not wanting to hear it. But she was like, "Yeah, like we're gonna have to continue to lock down," and it was on a 2 week basis. If you guys can remember, every 2 weeks she would come out and say, "This is where we are. We're gonna continue these steps
We're
to
talking
help."
about Governor Whitmer for
Yeah.
those who are not in Michigan.
Yeah. So like everybody else in the country, like we were just listening to see what we can and can't do. And she came out and said, for the next 2 weeks, which would have ran through the end of April, you can't have party gatherings larger than 10 people in a building. So right then and there, it's like your reception's gone, essentially. Your wedding ceremony technically could still happen, but it's up to the church to allow you to have people in there to get married and all this other stuff. So at this point, I turned to Mary and I was like, we're not going to get married on our day.
Bro, I'm telling you, you're thinking about this wrong. You're remembering this.
Just go along with it, bro.
No, no, because it was more dramatic than that. It wasn't on a 2 week basis where we just kept watching and kept watching. Do you remember you looked on your phone and you saw the couple? So we literally just had our food tasting.
Yeah, it was after that, Marina. Because it was after the fact that because they're so we met this couple at the food tasting for um
Regency
the
for our
Regency.
wedding reception.
Yeah, the reception. It was a it just so happened to be another interracial couple.
Yeah,
The
white.
woman was black. The woman was black, and the guy
Yeah.
was white, and they were having their wedding. I think at a different church, but they're still having it at the manor.
Yeah.
So their wedding was the 18th, if I'm not mistaken.
No, I think it was like
The weekend before, something like that.
the 8th. It was like the 8th. They
Something
were
like
early
that.
April, yeah.
So they had to obviously, because we saw them on the news.
Ryan saw them on the news. That's how we found out that Regency Manor was like canceling weddings. We found out on the news, and then we ended up calling. Like Ryan was like, "Marina, our wedding is canceled. If their wedding is canceled, our wedding is canceled."
Yeah.
And so we ended up calling Regency Manor to confirm, and they were like, "Yeah, unfortunately, the governor's, you know, what do you call it? Orders
Yeah,
are
orders.
that we
So
have to cancel," and just
yeah, so I spent the whole morning calling all of our venues and all of our
so that's where that comes in.
people. So
I went to work, I went to work from home, and then Ryan was like, "Don't worry about it. I'll take care of everything."
yeah, so I called the venue. I called our DJ. I called the flower person. I called the photographer Steve and the videographer. And at first, we're saying, hey, we're going to extend
Reschedule.
it,
Yeah.
right? So we picked a day. I think it was when in August.
August 21st.
No, we did it twice. Yeah,
We did it twice?
we said July.
No, really?
We said July 1st, but then July quickly came and went because it was just getting worse and worse and worse. Then we said August.
Why? I don't remember that.
It was because it was the next available day because everyone was just saying, okay, by June, July, we'll be back at least half capacity. We can, you can do your thing, call it a day. But that came and went like within, I think, a couple of weeks, and we're like, okay, let's push it back again. And that's when we came out and said we'll be doing it August something. I forget the date.
Listen, I mean, we can go on and on about what we went through.
Yeah.
The biggest thing, it was the biggest thing that was very stressful for me was two things. I don't know which to talk about first. I'll talk about Costco first. Okay. So me and Ryan's honeymoon was supposed to be in Italy.
Oh yeah. Forgot
And
about that.
yeah, how can you? How could you? So
Push that back to
yeah.
the depths of my brain so I don't have to think about it.
So Italy was on literal lockdown.
Mm.
Okay, like nobody could get in,
'Cause
nobody
they
could
got
go
hit
out.
before we got hit.
Right.
And so we're thinking, because our honeymoon was going to be the day after the wedding. So the
Like
20s.
a couple days after. We were literally supposed to go to Italy from like April 27th to like May 3rd
Yeah.
or something like that. Or
So-
May. No. We were supposed to be there for like a good
I think it was
10
like 10 days.
days because I think we were going to
Including the flight. Including
right.
the flights back.
So anyway, long story short, we're supposed to go to Italy. I went through Costco Travel because one of my friends went through Costco Travel, and it was great because, again, she got married in September 2019. And, they booked through Costco Travel, had a great, like experience with it because like everything is set up for you, rides,
Yeah.
from the airport, all of that
You
stuff.
save hella money. Because
save a lot of
it's
money.
Costco and they discount everything.
Yes. So, I mean, we were supposed to have a fantastic trip. It was all paid for. Okay?
Yeah. Like we paid for it.
Like we paid for
We
it.
paid
Like
for it like when? Like months before.
we paid for it in September in full, 2019.
2019. Okay. Yeah.
Okay? In full. All right? Because again, we were budgeting, we were saving money, we were doing all of this stuff. So, our honeymoon was completely paid for. The only thing that wasn't paid for was when we actually get there and the food and,
Yeah.
excursions, all that stuff, whatever. So that we wanted to do. So it is March, and I want to say this was around that time because Italy was on lockdown, and I'm like, okay, I got to call Costco, like to see what we can do because Costco has this like time frame that if you cancel by this date, which is like, so I think it was like a month and a half before departure, then you get like 85% of your refund. If you cancel a month before, you get 70% only. If you cancel 2 weeks before, you get only 50%. And, and it goes down from there. So
So
I'm looking at the date, and
obviously this is pre-COVID. So this is just like you
this is
canceled.
no, this is pre like United States getting locked down.
Well,
So
pre-COVID. So this is standard procedure for them. This is before they had to adjust everything because of COVID just disrupting travel for the whole world.
listen, I don't know what do you want to call it. All I can say is that we I'm looking at the time frame, and I'm like, "Oh shoot, like we have to cancel." And I'm pretty sure I'm going to get 100% of my refund back because this is a pandemic, and the country is literally on lockdown, so I should be able to get my full refund back. You guys, long story short,
After how
Jordan,
long? After
hold
how
on,
long?
hold on. I'm at work, by the way. We're not working from home yet because again, this is before like March 16th. I'm at work, and somehow I had 3 hours of leisurely time because I was on hold between Costco and frickin' Delta Airlines with this wonderful man named Jordan, who's the supervisor at Costco Travel. And the reason why I remember his name is because, he was wonderful. He was a wonderful person. He literally tried to act as like my lawyer to Delta because Delta would constantly tell Costco to refer to the bulletin that we gave you guys. And Costco was like, but we go through you. Like, it just was like a tag team, like going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And nobody could budge simply because of the fact, if we do it for you, we have to do it for everybody. So I ended up getting 85% of my refund back, which again sounds like a lot, but it was completely ridiculous because I should have been able to get 100% of my refund. And after all of that, after all of our vendors having to cancel our vendors, because we ended up trying to keep postponing. And we were like, you know what? Well, actually, no, I'm fast forwarding.
Yeah.
So we got like we lost $600 out of that
From the
from the Costco travel
Yeah.
and stuff. So like so
And
for those who don't know, we paid like
like $6,000, something
it
like
was
that.
like $5,300, $5,400, something like that. So we lost 600.
And it was a cancellation fee. Is that why?
Like I said, it's you have to cancel by a certain time.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you were listening,
So
Anyway.
on top of that, so in April, this is the most hectic month because they're just constantly extending this period of not being able to go certain places,
Right.
right? So then we cancel uh Italy, and then a few weeks go by and we're saying, okay, let's at least go somewhere.
Right.
So we said,
Because
screw it.
if you guys can remember, the flights to
Oh yeah,
places
so cheap.
were ridiculously dirt cheap.
So cheap. So then we're like, okay, what's a beach we can go to relax, get away from all this? Let's go to Miami. Let's go to Florida. Let's go let's go to Florida during this was technically spring breakish time, like
Yeah.
from February to late April, May is just spring break season.
We're like, Florida's not going to
Florida.
shut down.
And then so we're literally watching um
COVID rise in Florida.
watching all this stuff, watching these kids literally have spring break like nothing's happening in Florida on Snapchat, on Facebook, on the news, and we're looking at each other. We're like, bro, we're not gonna go to Florida.
And then I get an email from South Beach Hotels, like the whole, like it's because I forgot how I booked, which hotel I booked, but they gave us a full refund of our hotel, and then I think we got our ticket from American Airlines, so they gave us a credit. So I mean, it was just like Dude, it was a hot mess.
Yeah.
So now we're wondering, so again, it's April, okay? Our wedding day is April 25th. And for those people who are married or are getting married, you have to get your marriage license within 30 days of your wedding day. The court was closed. Courts never close.
No, they weren't closed. You had to do they hadn't gotten their systems up to date.
Yes.
I don't know why. It's so stupid, but they don't accept electronic signings of almost anything.
Right. So they at this time they weren't doing marriage license.
Yeah.
Like they literally had on their website, we're not doing marriage license, and we're thinking in our head like, dude, what the heck are we
Yeah.
how are we going to get married? Now I'm sitting there like freaking out because again, it's not just my wedding day, okay? Like I'll get to that later, obviously, but I'm sitting here like, "Oh my god, I'm living with him." And my parents are already giving me a hard time about that. I need to legitimize this relationship and me living with him. Like, that's what I was worried about, you know? And my mother-in-law just like kind of looked on my face, you know, talking about this. And she's like, I just remember your face. Like, so I'm not going to get married. Like, and she just, what did she tell you, Ryan?
I don't know.
She talks about this story all the time.
I have no idea.
She looked at him and she's like, you better marry that girl. You better find a way to marry that girl. And so coincidentally, while we're freaking out about not being able to get our marriage license in time and all of this stuff, like, you know, of course we're going back and forth with the church, like talking to them, updating them on where we're at and all that stuff. You know, but they just flat out said, we cannot marry you without a marriage license. You know,
Yeah.
like we were trying to figure out every way possible, you guys, like to just get married on April 25th. And coincidentally,
So the weekend before this, sorry to cut you off.
mm-hmm.
We had looked online just to see if there's been any updates because we had I had emailed the secretary who was kind of taking all the emails, all the voicemails for
questions for couples who are trying to get married
couples
and all that stuff.
trying to get married and these extraneous situations that people were in trying to get, because people were trying to get stuff for like citizenship and all this stuff that they were trying to do, or people who had died, or
Yeah.
people who were disabled and couldn't do certain things. You have to go through the state to get certain documentation and mail stuff in. So I was going on there. I think the woman, she emailed me back, but I forget what she said.
She basically said, like, because Ryan asked her, you know, through the email, like, is it any way that we can just mail in our documentation
Yeah.
and you can mail us back the license? And she's like, no, we are not doing that.
Yeah.
We cannot do that, like, essentially.
So that was on April
was, like-
18th. So it was
yeah.
the week before.
Yeah.
So the week after, we're sitting there on our supposed to be wedding day, April 25th, just like kind of in disbelief that it came and it was passing us by. That
Oh, and
week.
by the way, we had our calendars marked for,
Yeah, calendars marked.
and we're on our laptop and we get a reminder because, you know, we have MacBooks, so we get a reminder. Our wedding day.
Yeah, wedding day.
Like, I'm like,
And
thanks, Apple.
I had like this application is through, like, it's the application called Shortcuts on your phone. You can set it up to pop up on your phone like a surprise, like, oh,
Or a
today's
countdown.
your wedding day. Countdown is 0, and there's like confetti being sprung everywhere on my phone. I'm like, well, what? Like, that's nothing now.
Yeah, it's like, bro.
So
keep freaking like stabbing a knife in the already open wound. You know?
and I think it was Saturday, so like I think I had gone grocery shopping, so I had to come home, wipe down our stuff with like Lysol wipes.
my
I'm thinking to myself,
God.
bro, we're not gonna get married. So that next day, Sunday, April 26th, I go on the website just for
No.
that. Okay, so go ahead.
No. It was April 25th.
Oh, I
It
didn't
was
know that.
April 25th. You got on the no, I think it was actually Friday and then the next day. Yeah. So it was that Friday. Ryan goes on to the court website and all of a sudden in red letters there's a banner that says we are now accepting marriage license applications. Here is the app, like here's how you can do it. Ryan was like super excited and
Yeah.
just like couldn't believe it, and I'm like in disbelief because then I'm like, like we're like, okay, let's go. So
Homegirl got
hold
cold
on,
feet.
hold on, because it wasn't at that day. It wasn't at that day. Wait, yes, it was.
Yes,
Yes,
it
it was.
was.
Yes, it was.
It was immediately after you're like,
I got cold feet.
"Are you sure you want to do this?" I'm like, "Are you serious right now?"
Yeah. He literally looked at me like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" I got cold feet, you guys, because I've been waiting for this day my whole life, and at the same time, I've been deathly afraid of this day my whole life because of, as you guys know, like my insecurities and all that stuff, and I was like scared. I'm like, this is permanent, dude. Like, this is legal,
Yeah.
And then I just was like, okay, what am I afraid of? Am I afraid of my insecurity, my fear that I've created in my mind, or am I truly afraid of him? And then I realized it was never about him. It was always about me. So,
So,
like, fear of him. So we got it. We got the stuff printed.
well, no. So let's go through the whole thing. So
Oh, okay.
we get the applications downloaded. We're signing all this stuff on my iPad with my Apple Pencil, signing it, ready to go, and you have to get it stamped by
Gotta get it notarized.
yeah, a notarized. So we're like, okay, who does notarizations? And they have it listed on the
Dwight
website. And they're like, oh,
Just kidding.
you have to go to
UPS.
UPS to get notified,
Notarized.
to get it stamped.
Yes.
So I'm like, all right, let's go to. I'm going to UPS right now. So we're literally doing all this stuff within minutes of me seeing this stuff down, and we submitted it, and then I think it was
So hold on, because this is what I was trying to say. We submitted our application. We mailed in our application on our
wedding day.
presumed wedding day.
Okay.
Yes, that's the coincidence that I was trying to mention earlier.
And then we got back our.
We got it expedited. So that was that Saturday, April 25th, 2020 was a Saturday. We
Mhm.
got it back that Tuesday.
The Tuesday.
Okay. And no, sorry. I'm sorry. We got it back that
was Wednesday.
Thursday. We got it back that Thursday.
Okay.
We immediately, when we got it back, we called the priest, we called the church, and we're like, when can you marry us?
Yeah.
And he's like, well, we could do this Sunday at 1:00, because obviously they weren't doing weddings, So we literally got our marriage license that Thursday, got married that Sunday, May 3rd of 2020. And, we told Rita and Christian, we told our families, obviously. So we had in the church, Rita, Christian, my mom, my dad, my brother, my sister-in-law,
Their
my
kid.
niece wasn't there. My niece was not there.
Yes, she.
No, my niece wasn't there. And Ryan's side was his mom and his mom's boyfriend. And
My sister was in Atlanta and couldn't make it up there. At
Yeah,
the time. Obviously
and-
because of flights and all that stuff.
right.
And
And just, the priest, because
Yeah.
we were told we can have 10 people,
people,
which
yeah.
includes the people
The
at
priest,
the altar.
myself, Marina, and obviously we're over that number by a couple people.
Yeah. So it was just us, and then we got married, and I just have to mention this. So Mark, I hope you're listening. My brother, I literally gave my brother one job. I said, "Listen, we're gonna do our ceremony on Facebook Live for those who can't make it. Will you be behind the camera just to make sure everything is legit, whatever?" So we had 2 tripods set up. One was under my Facebook account and one was under Ryan's Facebook account. Ryan's Facebook account, where the camera was positioned, was perfect. Mine, okay, was looking at the freaking podium the whole time. You can't
Yeah.
see us. And because my brother just he didn't do anything. He just
Yeah, I messed it up. Cause
not you,
one
because
I had
we
it,
thought we were going to be standing. So let me just preface with this. We thought we were going to be standing where the camera was originally at, but we ended up going up the step. So,
Yeah.
it's nobody's fault, but it's like I literally told him, bro, You got one job. Just stand behind
Yeah.
the camera and just make sure it's legit, you know? So, anyway, long story short, my dad walked me down the aisle. He cried. My mom cried, which
Yeah.
made me like kind of feel some type of way. I just oh, and my aunt was there too. My aunt that lives with us. Um, I really don't think Cassidy was there. I don't think my niece was there. I don't remember her
I
being
thought she
there.
was in the. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
but
it was
anyway,
it was
so
amazing. And then we walk outside, and we walked out a different door. They had us go, which was weird. Um,
because they had an event
oh,
immediately
that's why they
after.
were having adoration
Yes, immediately
outside
after.
because they had all these people come every Sunday at I think it was like 3 4 o'clock to have adoration, and um the priest is like, okay, you guys got to be out by this time because and it's not on you guys, but I just don't want you guys have to deal with the traffic of having all these people outside.
Yeah, yeah.
Because we're gonna be there because they did it outside because obviously you can't have all these people indoors.
Right.
So we're outside. We walk through the opposite doors to go, I think, towards like the exit parking lot.
So no, it's the entrance of the park of Mother of God. So it's going towards that like
Okay.
road. So you get into the entrance of Mother of God, and then our friends did a little parade and like
So a lot of it's more than just our friend. It was a lot of people that
my
came.
family,
Yeah, they did drive like a
a
drive by.
drive-by,
That was a
yeah.
thing of
With posters, and
yeah.
back in that time, like everybody was doing drive-bys and stuff. So, and then we, once, they did like a circle around the parking lot. We, there was a like parking lot by the church. I don't know what it is. It's like a very nice, like, I think home that's, I don't know.
It's
Like
like
it's
one
like
of
a old
those.
school, not old school, but like what's the word I'm looking for, Ryan?
It's like a colonial house
Colonial
where
house,
it's like
historical house. That's what
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
looking
It's
for.
it's owned by like the state and it's like for events
Yes.
and all that stuff.
So our friend surprised us because my friend Tanya knows I wanted, like, if I could, I would have had like 20 drummers at my wedding. But I was supposed to have like 3 drummers at my wedding if we actually had like an actual reception. So my friend Tanya got the hookup from Zephyr Joseph. Shout out to them. Love them. Love Joseph. He's so amazing. Him and his team are awesome. They drove all the way from, I believe, Shelby Township to Southfield just to have a little party in the parking lot where it was just us. Like it was like maybe
Maybe
15
20,
people.
yeah, maybe
15 people.
maybe showed up with just wearing whatever.
Wearing whatever, and they just were like banging on the drums and
Yeah.
on their cars and stuff, like their pickup trucks. So we'll post videos of that as well. And it just my family went home. We went to Five Guys because we were hungry, and
No, this
oh
was
no.
before that.
Yeah.
We went to the city.
Yes, we went to the city to take pictures. Liana, Rita's med school friend, who is now my friend, shout out to her. She did our photos completely free. She was freaking phenomenal.
Mhm.
Love her so much. She did our photos and they came out amazing. So we took photos on the Z parking lot. We had our first dance on the Z parking lot. And then we went to Five Guys because
Yeah.
we were hungry. So I'll show you guys some pictures of me chopping down a hamburger. But and then we went home,
Went home, passed out.
passed out, and like a couple hours later had a bonfire at Rita and Christian's house, and that was our wedding day,
That was a wedding day, yeah.
literally. And looking back, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not gonna lie. Looking back, as unique as my wedding day was, and how unique and amazing it will be to tell our kids like how we got married and stuff. I'm not gonna lie. I still wish I had a reception. I still wish I had like the traditional Chaldean like zephyr and just where the bride has a little zephyr at her house and all that stuff. Like I wish I had all that. And everybody still now again keeps asking me like, a couple years later now, like, do you think you'll have a reception and all that stuff? And I'm like, yeah, maybe, but it just after we got married.
In the future.
After we got married, like, this is what I was jumping into prematurely. Like, after we got married, we were like, there's really no point to have a reception because we saved a lot of money.
A ton of money.
We saved a lot of money by not having a reception, and we just kind of focused on trying to buy a house or saving more money to buy a house eventually once our like lease was up and stuff like that. So, but yeah, I mean that's our story, guys.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean,
That's pretty much it.
yeah, so we had that's kind of our unique experience with all this. It was just, I think for us, it's just like there's never,
There's nothing traditional about us.
yeah, nothing traditional, and then it's just like there's never the right timing for anything.
Yeah.
Sometimes things just happen the way they're supposed to happen when they're supposed to happen. Like, Marina surprising and just getting up one day and saying, "Hey, I'm going to tell my parents this is going to be it," or
to us planning a wedding that's perfect for us and waiting for this day to happen and just like wanting to show the world our love and just like how we truly like fought for each other and just like exemplifying that love in front of our loved ones on our wedding day to not being able to do that
Yeah.
like
so.
that was really heartbreaking for me. That was another reason that was the other thing that I wanted to mention when I was talking about like the whole Costco fiasco. Was that like I couldn't wait for my wedding day, not only because of the fact that it was my wedding day, but to just like shove it to people. Just like look at my beautiful husband, look at our beautiful marriage, look at our beautiful relationship. Like we got this thing down. We made it.
Yeah.
And it didn't really happen. I just wanted to celebrate and show people like truly how happy we are with each other, because when you see, for those of you who've been to as many weddings as I've been to, like when you see the couple, you can definitely tell like how happy they are, and if it's like genuine happiness, right? And I just wanted to show that to people, and it didn't end up happening, but I think I still am a firm believer that everything happens for a reason, and it is what it is. But that's our story, and
yeah.
It's been a wonderful ride with you guys. I don't know if we'll keep doing episodes. Like I said, we're probably thinking about a live, to answer your questions live.
I think if we do another episode of this, it'll be
including
in the future, but it'll definitely be including some
family members,
some voiceover from Peggy and maybe
Rita and Christian, and
maybe even Myrna's dad,
my brother, because I'm sure he would love
to. I think he wants to get out there too.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it'll be packed with a lot of different insights and people. But yeah, so
we appreciate you guys a lot. Honestly,
you guys listened to almost 10 hours of your guys' life has just been listening to us in the background. So we definitely appreciate it, and we started this failing at first, and to be sitting here 10 hours later of doing all this, probably more with all the setup we had to do every single time.
Yeah.
But yeah, we definitely appreciate it, and yeah, we hope that this did what it was designed to do and supposed to do, which was just make it even a little bit easier for those who are struggling with this situation. Maybe giving you guys ideas, maybe even having the parents listen to this as well, just saying, hey, that these guys went through the same thing, this is what happened with them. But just hopefully this gave you guys made it a little bit easier for you guys to handle you guys' situation.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, I guess this is the final sign off for a little. For a lot?
Yeah, for a little while.
For a little while.
And it's not goodbye, it's always just see you later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.